On Wednesday, President Trump announced a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs of almost 60 countries and the European Union. The tariffs were all customized to each specific country and corresponded to the size of their trade surplus with the US. For a long time, President Trump has said that the tariffs can and will reduce America's trade deficits, ultimately to help US businesses and companies. President Trump believes that these tariffs will help pave the way for future tax cuts. Recently, however, China has struck back at President Trump's tariffs. China are raising the duties on their imports to the US by 125% from the original 84%. And if you don't know, that is a super big jump. Despite this though, President Trump and members of his cabinet are bringing reassurance and telling the citizens of America that things will work out with China. Even Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he was confident in the US and said that the United States would be in a great place of certainty by the end of the 90-day pause. So in this video, we're going to break down why China is making a big mistake with this tariff war and give better understanding of why President Trump is implementing higher tariffs in the first place. Please don't forget to like and subscribe because it means a lot to me and it helps. So, to jump right into the topic, let's take a look at this first clip of Fox News breaking down the tariff war.
Overnight, Beijing announcing a 125% tariff on U.S. imports. This is up from 84% duty that China announced on Wednesday.
So this has the White House clarified yesterday that the 20% fentanyl tariff will remain in effect, bringing the total tariff on China to 145%.
Yeah, we did some bad math early, but now this is the total.
China's finance ministry responding, saying, quote, even if the U.S. continues to impose higher tariffs, it will no longer make economic sense and will become a joke in the history of world economy.
All right, President, obviously it's going to affect us. Got it. But when you realize how much China is hurting internally, their marketing, their housing market has collapsed. The stimulus money that they put in has not been effective. They have a youth unemployment rate where kids are going from college and they just don't want to work, not opportunities available, to the point where they're going back to the colleges saying, if your students, your graduates don't get jobs, we're coming after you. That's how desperate they are. And most of what they need now, since they're great at producing things, but they need us to consume their things. And if the prices become too high, America naturally will start giving the Heisman to Chinese goods.
I think this has become the national security issue of our time as well, Brian. They hack us like crazy. They steal like crazy. They knock off our products all the time. And you really can't compete at the end of the day with slave labor. We outlawed in this country for a reason. And now we essentially buy the products from a different country that does the same thing.
Right. So as we can see in that clip, in total, the tariffs coming from China are 145% because they still have their 20% fentanyl imposed tariff. So with all of that, we can see that a lot is happening with this war. This will affect America. I truly believe that it will affect our economy as a whole. But I can agree and say that China will also hurt. We won't be the only ones hurting in this, and they could end up hurting worse. If we stop consuming for them and they aren't producing for us, we're both going to suffer. But it's seeming so that China might be getting the worst of it. President Trump can sometimes be a wild card, but no one can take away the fact that he is standing up against China. He is showing them that we're not going to get ran over and that it does need to be fair because we help you almost more than you help us. And they help us a lot too. But ultimately, and most importantly, we are the ones in debt right now. Our country as a whole, we are in massive debt. So it seems that President Trump's main goal is to key in and focus on that. He's trying to get that problem fixed and in turn fix and better our economy. Let's move on and see what Caroline Levitt had to say about the tariff war. Take a look at this clip.
It's the policy of this White House and the Trump administration to put America first, to bring back jobs that have been flawed overseas, to no longer allow China to dump cheap foreign products into the United States of America while they prevent American-made products from entering their market. China has been taking advantage of the American worker for decades. Both Democrats and Republicans have called on presidents to do something something about this, to finally attack our crippling trade deficit with China, and to also make them pay for the more than $600 billion they have stolen from American companies and taxpayers in the form of intellectual property. So the president has great courage to finally take on China in this way. He has said he's open to talks. He's open to negotiating a deal. He believes China wants to talk to the United States of America. They just don't know how to go about it. We've had more than 75 other nations across the globe reaching out to this administration because they know this is the greatest country to do business. And those deals are underway. They are being negotiated by the president's trade team. But America cannot exist if we continue to enrich and embolden China.
In that clip, we can see Caroline Leavitt's standpoint on it. She straight up says that President Trump is tired of it and he's not going to let America be taken advantage of anymore. He's not being a cruel person. He is open to talks. He's open to deals because America is the best country to do business with. Caroline shared that President Trump is simply tired of how China is behaving. Push and put thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of products into the US that are cheap and not good. They block Americans from having American products in China. Another point that Caroline also shared was that China has stole almost $600 billion from Americans through our taxpayer money in the form of intellectual properties. And we do know that China is very tech savvy, and that sounds about the same things they normally would do. So President Trump is saying he wants that money back. And if he has to cut down the products coming from them, then so be it. President Trump is basically putting America first and doing everything possible so that everything can be corrected. With that said, let's take a look at Kevin O'Leary breaking everything down. Take a look at this.
Tariffs in China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that
I
look
want
like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
In that clip, we can see Kevin O'Leary sharing how he feels. Because he does business in China, he has a bit of experience. And he says that the Chinese, they don't play by the rules, that they cheat and they steal. And Trump's administration dealing with that, they're tired of it. They're not going to deal with it. They're going to put a stop to it. Kevin O'Leary said that the tariffs need to go up to 400%, and he guarantees that their president and supreme leader will be over on a plane to America to cut and strike deals. The Chinese need people there to be employed so that they can be on top. And no other nation has came up to China to put their foot down. President Trump's administration is seeming like the only one to actually do it. So it has to be respected even in that aspect, to put your country first. And it seems Trump is doing that. And to close out, I do want to share this tweet from President Trump. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's market, I am hereby raising the tariff charged to China by the United States of America to 125%, effective immediately. I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. So even from reading that small tweet, we can see that President Trump is not playing. He put more tariffs on them, but he did it immediately. He is not giving them any leeway or any free space or time. So what do you think about this tariff war? How far do you think it's going to go before one side fails? And it's looking that that side could be China. Give me your opinion down below, and I'll see you next time on KW Lawholic.